Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. My name is Vineet, and a new government is about to take charge in Bangladesh. And already there are important signals coming from Dhaka. The development comes just a day after Prime Minister Modi confirmed that he had spoken with Tarique Rahman following the election results. And after a decisive victory, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, is set to form the next government there. BNP's chairman, Tarique Rahman, is expected to take oath as Prime Minister in the coming days. Even before the ceremony, reports suggest that Dhaka may invite Prime Minister Modi to attend the swearing-in. There is no official confirmation yet, but the possibility itself is being seen as significant. Whenever there is a political transition in a neighboring country, questions naturally arise. Will relations continue smoothly? Will policies change? Or will there be a shift in tone? India and Bangladesh share a close and important relationship. The two countries are connected not just by geography but by history, trade, culture and strong people-to-people ties. Over the past several years, cooperation has expanded in many areas including connectivity, projects, energy partnerships, border management and regional security. At the same time, there have also been sensitive issues and concerns including border tensions and water sharing concerns. Prime Minister Modi congratulated Tarique Rahman on his party's victory and expressed hope for continued cooperation. In response, the BNP leadership stated that Bangladesh will maintain relations with India based on equality and national interest. That message suggests a balanced approach, one that keeps engagement open while protecting national priorities. Now, all eyes will be on the next steps. If the invitation to Prime Minister Modi does come through, it could send a strong signal of continuity and diplomatic outreach. It would underline that despite political changes at home, Dhaka is keen to maintain stable ties with New Delhi. At the same time, the new leadership in Bangladesh may also look to assert its own priorities, shaping foreign policy in a way that reflects its electoral mandate and domestic expectations. For India, the message appears clear. Engage early, build trust and ensure that cooperation remains steady during this transition. For Bangladesh, the focus will be on balancing regional diplomacy with national interest. As the oath-taking ceremony approaches, the bigger question remains, will this transition mark simple continuity or the beginning of new chapters in India-Bangladesh relationships? We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show at this point in time is Nazmul Haq Pradhan, General Secretary of the Bangladesh Jasod and former Member of Parliament from Panchgarh. Also joining us on the show is Professor Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian. Mr. Adit Kothari, Foreign Affairs expert, joins us too. Ambassador Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner to Bangladesh, with us on the program as well. And last but not the least, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Senior Defence Expert, with us on the program as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Nazmul Haq. I'll begin with you, sir. I hope you can hear me. Sir, if you can hear me.
Thank you very much for joining me in your program.
Sir, first question to you. Well, Bangladesh and India have had a share of problems in the recent past. Will it be okay to assume, will it be right to assume that there is a new ray of light when it comes to resolving these issues that both the nations have had?
Thank you very much for joining me in your program. Really, congratulations from Bangladesh to India government also, that there is a good elections, more than 200 seats owned by a political party named BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. And another opposition party comes up, the rightist wing party of Jamaat Islam. I think the people have saved the 71 Liberation Award for winning the BNP. And really we are happy enough, as because there was no elected government, past about 18 months. So the public was worried. There is no law and order, There was maximum time there was mob, and even then the relation between the neighbor was deteriorated seriously. So we are eager that this government will be able to solve all this problem easily. They will develop relations with the neighbors, especially India. Bangladesh surrounded by India. And so this time, this election is very, we are badly needed, these elections, and this happened already. Thanks. very much to Bangladesh people also, and because they have elected the government who were power for long time, that is in the name of Jia and Khalda Jia. This time, this government, in Bangladesh, there are some alumni, there are some, I think, very difficult to say that the main political parties, leaders, some of main of the opposition party, the main party, Awami League, they have escaped in different countries of the world, even India also. And so we need some reconciliations for better political establishment, political settlement. Sustainable political development is necessary for our country. Political process is very turmoily. Sometimes there is election, sometimes there is no election, sometimes it happens. So this time, I think this government, because they were they were in power, so they knows how to deal with the political parties and oppositions and neighbors and relations with other countries. So this time, this elections is very good for us. Thank you very much.
So India has also been concerned, over the condition and the safety of minorities in Bangladesh. Do you think that is going to be a priority for this government?
Yeah, right. In these elections, these minority participate elections, participate elections, they have voted. And most of the minorities are safe now. I think after election, this government, the upcoming government, will able to settle all this problem with minorities, because it happens because there is no elected government. The lawlessness is the main factor of this country, so the minorities suffer really. But this time, I think this will end, and we will go for better start of good Bangladesh.
Sir, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for giving us time. Professor Nalapat, coming to you, sir. Well, this invite or this idea of inviting Prime Minister Modi to the oath ceremony is a great one. In fact, the Prime Minister himself believes in inviting neighbors when it comes to forming new governments and new leadership taking over. Do you think that at an optical and a cursory level, it would solve, at least it would thaw the friction that has existed between these two sides for the last few months or over a year?
Those are very good questions. I would like to tell you that it's very obvious that Bangladesh should invite India, because we are the largest neighbor of Bangladesh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been taking a personal interest in Bangladesh right from the time he was sworn in 2014, and a lot of help has been given to Bangladesh. So it's only natural that we are given an invite. This is going to be a very big affair. You're going to get senior people from China, from Pakistan, and from Turkey, from different parts of the world. You're going to get a very high-level delegation from various countries, and you're going to get the United States also will be represented in that. So there will be a galaxy of luminaries, a galaxy of countries that will be there for the swearing-in ceremony, because the BNP has swept the board. They have crossed 200 seats, so they have got a huge majority in the Bangladeshi parliament. So obviously they're a force to be reckoned with. Now the point is that the easy part is coming to power. The difficult part is being in power. So the BNP will need to reach out. And here that is where they are hoping to reach out to India. And therefore I'm glad that the politeness and civility for which the Bengalis are famous has not entirely disappeared from Bangladesh. And a very polite invite has been gone to Prime Minister Modi. The fact of the matter is, we should also send a high-level delegation, including some military people, because the Pakistan delegation will have a lot of military people. You'll have to meet a lot of people from China there. You'll have to meet a lot of people from Russia and United States, different parts of the world. And you're going to see the entire whirlpool of global geopolitics in Dhaka for those 36 hours. My only point is that we should be very careful about our frontier, because the problem is the Jamaat controls the frontier, India-Bangladesh frontier, and Jamaat is famous for trying to smuggle in, that is into India, fanatics, and smuggle in elements that can help in creating all kinds of acts of violence in different parts of India. So we have to be very, very vigilant on that front, and we have to make sure any gaps in our border defenses, for example, corruption among officers, should be dealt with severely, because we can't afford that. If you're going to have any kind of a gap, then that's a gap through which some elements from Jamaat may come in. Let's not forget that Jamaat is out of parliament, but that makes it much more dangerous. They are now going to go on the streets and demand the impossible of the new BNP government. And obviously the government cannot deliver. No government can deliver. So there's going to be a lot of issues there. But India, we have to keep our guard up. We have to keep our frontier defenses up. At the same time, we have to reach out to Bangladesh and show that we have a helping hand. So I think it's a very deft diplomatic game that has to be played. And I'm sure Prime Minister Modi will play it very, very well, along with Minister Jaishankar of External Affairs. So I think Bangladesh has entered into a period of turmoil. It's entered into a period of economic problems, and that is now there from the time for the last 5 or 6 months. After seeing that kind of confusion, I don't think people will want to invest in Bangladesh. Tarique Rahman will be hoping that the situation is different, that his swearing will make a difference. We have to wait and see if that actually is the case. The proof of the pudding is not in looking at the pudding, it's eating the pudding. And the pudding is yet to be eaten. It will be eaten when the BNP government comes to power, and they're going to face a very difficult task, made even more difficult by the fact that the Jamaat is going to be on the rampage. And we also need to be on our guard here. At the same time, we have to keep an eye on protection of minorities in Bangladesh, because frankly, minorities are now living in abject fear of their lives, forget their livelihoods. So all in all, it's a very difficult situation, but the Prime Minister has acted very, very ably and nobly in accepting the invite, and I'm sure a high-level delegation will be going to Dhaka, and a lot of discussions will be there. There's no doubt that the Bangladesh Prime Minister will ask about Sheikh Hasina, and that Sheikh Hasina should come back to Bangladesh. I think what our reply should be is that we say Atiti. That means no date. That means in our civilization, we don't ask any visitor or a guest to have a date of return. There is no date, Atiti. So we can use ancient Indian traditions and terminology to make our case that we cannot send Sheikh Hasina back in the current circumstances. They don't only want to jail her, they want to execute her, like Bhutto was executed. So we can't allow that, there's no question about it. She has to remain in India, and we can be polite about it. He will raise that issue. It's very interesting to see the sidebar meetings with the Chinese and of course with the Americans. And as far as the Pakistanis are concerned, the best we can hope for is that the new government in Bangladesh will not join China and Pakistan in their tricks against India. If we can succeed in that mission, I can tell you, the Prime Minister will have achieved a lot. Thank you.
You're absolutely right, sir. Ambassador Sikri, in fact, the Jamaat has, won a lot of seats on the border areas of Bangladesh. That is perhaps a concern for India. But the fact of the matter is that, regardless of, this troubled last few months against Bangladesh, India's policy and India's, stand has always been that of diplomacy, not direct conflict. And, the Prime Minister, through this outreach, has epitomized it.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think that the significance of the BNP's victory is in fact twofold, because we have to realize that right from the day that the regime change operation took place, the stage was set for the Jamaat Islami to come to power. For the last 18 months, it has been the Jamaat Islami which has been the power behind the throne. They wielded all the power. Muhammad Yunus was just their spokesperson. And they created an Islamist government because, an interim regime is supposed to have an apolitical government just to observe law and order and to hold the elections. But the Jamaat Islami made clear from day one that they no longer wanted their old alliance partnership with the BNP, but they wanted to have an Islamist group around themselves. And that's what they did. In the interim regime, you had the Islami Andolan Bangladesh, you had the band Hizb ut-Tahrir, you had the Hifazat-e-Islam. So they were running an Islamist government. And then they controlled all the institutions of democracy in Bangladesh. All the earlier incumbents were pushed out through mobocracy and mob action, and Jamaat-e-Islami people were appointed in the judiciary, in academia, vice chancellors and professors, in the bureaucracy, and the media was completely muzzled. Media boardrooms were taken over, media journalists were thrown into jail, the earlier who were there earlier. So everything was set for bringing majority for the Jamaat-e-Islami. And we know that America too was supporting the Jamaat-e-Islami. There was that infamous transcript of the American diplomat's conversation with women Bangladeshi journalists published in the Washington Post. The message was just one, that the Americans are supporting the Jamaat-e-Islami, and the hope was that the youngsters of Bangladesh would heed this message and would vote for the Jamaat-e-Islami. The party of the so-called students who were in the uprising, we know it was a regime change operation. There was nothing spontaneous or nothing, no genuine students in that uprising. But such as it is, they created a party, and that party really was the Islami Chhatra Shibir, the youth wing of the Jamaat-e-Islami. They too joined in with the Jamaat-e-Islami alliance. Total law and order, absence of law and order for 18 months, complete mobocracy, and the economy in disastrous free fall. I think the vote on the 12th of February, you know that Muhammad Yunus didn't want to have a vote. He wanted 4 years of reforms. That's why he had a referendum. But the people forced the vote, the political parties forced the vote, and the individuals of Bangladesh, the women particularly, who had terrible things said about them by the Amir of the Jamaat-e-Islami, the Hindu minorities, the Gen Z, everybody voted against the Jamaat-e-Islami. This was an amazing show of maturity by the people of Bangladesh, that we don't want an Islamist government. We value the liberation war values of 1971. We would rather have that. We want that to continue. We don't want this kind of chaos we've seen for the last 18 months with government in free fall. And we don't like what you have done to India-Bangladesh relations. That was their message to the Jamaat-e-Islami and to Muhammad Yunus in the enormously united way in which they voted out the Jamaat-e-Islami and brought in BNP with 2/3 majority. You are right that the Jamaat-e-Islami has won 68 seats, the largest ever, because the Awami League had been kept out of the election. That's another thing the Jamaat-e-Islami did, because they were scared the Jamaat-e-Islami, as a popular cadre-based organization, would be able to grab the vote away from them. But even by keeping them out, the Jamaat-e-Islami was not able to win. They have always been very active politically and organizationally in the border areas of India and Bangladesh, particularly the border with West Bengal, right till the north, and to some extent with Tripura as well. And that has been their area of activity always, and they've always pushed in illegal immigrants as sleeper cells into India through this border. They've always encouraged discord at the border, violence during elections, and the people of Bangladesh from the border, Jamaat-e-Islami, they step into India to vote when elections are held in India, and the people living on the Indian side, the illegal immigrants, step back into Bangladesh to vote when the elections are held on the Bangladesh side. This has been going on for decades. So we have to be very careful about that, and certainly it's a security threat. But I think the answer is that even though there are going to be members of parliament from the bordering areas who belong to Jamaat-e-Islami, but good relations between India and the BNP government will be the best antidote. And I see all the signs of the last 3-4 days since the elections have been held are in favor of good relations. I think future Prime Minister Tarique Rahman has shown enormous maturity even in the first few days. And our Prime Minister's message to him was very direct. very good, asking for a progressive, democratic, and inclusive Bangladesh. And now the invitation to Prime Minister Modi is very good. You know, in a press conference that Tarique Rahman held today in Dhaka with all the foreign correspondents, asked about this, about the extradition of Sheikh Hasina, and he said very calmly, this is a legal process. So I think all the signs are that there will be a very good relationship based
Fair
on
enough,
mutual.
ma'am. Fair enough.
It will be good for both countries.
Fair enough. General Kulkarni, in short, what about the China and Pakistan question? You know, Bangladesh has shown an outreach towards Pakistan very recently, and China, of course, was one of the first few countries to congratulate Bangladesh on this democratic victory. That has been a concern for India as well. How is that going to be dealt with?
Very challenging, extremely difficult for a very simple reason. The Jamaat is all along the border where they have taken over, and we have Malda, Murshidabad, Nadia, 24 Parganas, North, South, Jalpaiguri, Silchar, all these places. We've got to be very careful. And China and Pakistan will, of course, Jamaat, everybody, the distinguished panelists have already said, irrespective of whoever be in power, to us, Jamaat Islami along the border are going to be really very challenging. We have to be alert. We cannot afford to be complacent, irrespective of the relations that may be with BNP. We've had not very good relationship with General Rahman, his father, neither with Khalida, his mother, and hopefully, we hope that there would be good relations. There's no denying the fact we are neighbors. With the 4,096 kilometer long border, just about 220 kilometers with Myanmar. Having said that, China and Pakistan will continue to interfere in Bangladesh. They will continue to dictate to the Bangladesh government what they want. The Americans will intervene to say whatever they want. Rightly said, the ambassador said that the Americans wanted Jamaat Islami, and we know the kind of relations we have with Jamaat Islami, not now, right from 47, 71, and thereafter, and we've seen what has happened in the last 18 months. It's going to be extremely challenging. We hope that we have good relations with Bangladesh. It may be different with having good relations with Bangladesh, but borders, we'll have to be very alert. We just can't afford to be complicit, and no way we can have our guards down. We have to be alert, irrespective of whoever may be ruling the government in Bangladesh. Yeah.
Adit, what do you think are some of the other challenges that India has to navigate at this point in time? Let us not forget that the BNP has a history of not getting along with India. Let us not forget that the BNP, including Khalida Zia, did have reservations about the relationship that India and Bangladesh had. The quantum of improvement that was felt under Sheikh Hasina was never achieved before. But is it possible under the new leadership?
So you're quite right, Uday, when you pointed out that, between 2001 and 2006, the BNP term in Bangladesh had left a lot of scars with India, where they sort of patronized insurgency, where they patronized, northeastern military, issues against India. And today's BNP is slightly different. They appear to be more centrist. They're more focused on, achieving that $1 trillion goal by 2034. But we also need to remember that the border areas of Bangladesh, like General Kulkarni pointed out, right from Rangpur to South 24 Parganas in West Bengal and Tripura and Assam, the bordering areas are all under the control of Jamaat Islami. So we've got to be pragmatic about it. The BSF has already bolstered up its operations in the border areas, and that needs to be kept hot at all given points of time, because we also need to keep in mind that we've got something called the Indo-Bangla non-lethal treaty, where the BSF is not allowed to use any lethal ways of mitigation against any insurgencies or any sort of infiltration coming in from Bangladesh. So that becomes a bit of an issue for the BSF forces in itself. So those are some of the challenges that I think from a border perspective we will be facing. And let's not forget, the advisor to Tarique Rahman, Humayun Kabir, he has already said that we want a more balanced equation with India. We do not want to be completely, encircled by India from a foreign policy perspective, which is why they will allow the Pakistanis and Chinese to come in, and which they will use against India as some sort of a carrot and stick engagement game. And there, India will have to calibrate its position quite tactfully. We will have to use Sheikh Hasina where we deem fit. So it is quite an irritant for the BNP as well. So we need to demonstrate that we will keep her quiet. We will ensure that she doesn't create any more voices within the BNP, within the Bangladesh, which will basically become an issue for the current regime which comes into power. So we just need to hold them up and treat them with a little bit of soft gloves. And then the Teesta water treaty, more economic ties, more sort of power generation that we can allow the Bangladeshis with. I think those are the kind of instruments and the mitigating factors that we can help Bangladesh secure itself and ensure that Bangladesh and India ties thaw and sort of get into some sort of reset mode.
All right. Appreciate everybody joining us. We have run out of time. Thank you so much.